Hey there everybody, Amaranthine here. This video that I'm going to be doing today is going to be talking about the Tales of Phantasia differences. Over here in the States we now have 3 different ways of playing it, at least with an English translation, so I'm not really including the PSP full voice edition because I don't think an English translation has been done yet, but this was the first incarnation of it that we got on the Game Boy Advanced, and it pretty much sucks. I mean, it's still fun, but it the lag time and everything got so butchered that it's almost unplayable. Over on my PSP here, I was just showing, I've got Tales of Phantasia. This is the PlayStation version of it. That was the latest version to receive an English translation. There was the Game Boy Advance one that we got officially. Then there was the not the PlayStation one, but the Super Nintendo one received a fan translation, and then the PlayStation one came last. And I was always just kind of interested in translated versions. I was always kind of interested in the differences between the 3 versions, and they, how can I put this? I never really saw footage or anything of the differences. I've only read lists. So for myself and for other people out there, I'm making this video just to try and show the differences, and I'm just kind of going through the motions here just to show that I do in fact, this isn't some kind of a fake thing or something like that, as a lot of people tend to do that. But man, the quality on this sucks. So okay, without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. Okay, so I'm starting off with the Game Boy Advance version here, since that was the first one to be released. You can kind of see it has that Game Boy Advance Super Nintendo port look to it, or whatever, where the graphics are pretty well done, but the colors are a little bit faded compared to the Super Nintendo version. You can run if you hold down the B button right from the get-go, which, unlike in the Super Nintendo version, you had to buy the Elven boots first, and then you could start running around before then, but yeah, we'll get to that whenever. So this is just right in the very beginning, when Cress, aka Cless, and Chester are going to go boar hunting. Ah shit, I forgot about this part. Just try and skip past it. I gotta say also, for being in official release, the script isn't very cheesy or anything like that either, which is very nice. Quick look at the world map here. You cannot move the map around. You are free to walk around. You kind of navigate somewhat quickly, which is nice. I just kind of wanted to show off the battles, because I think they were a little bit slower than usual. Yeah, see, like, once the bees get hit, it just seems to go a little bit slower. The battle sprites are very well done. They are the PlayStation version of them. As far as experience and gold is concerned, I think the Game Boy Advance version and the PlayStation version have about the same, and I swear the Super Nintendo version I think has a higher gold count, but I could be wrong because the random encounter rate for the Super Nintendo version is so much higher. But, yeah, you can just kind of see, I mean, it's not, I guess, too much to worry about, but yeah, there's just some slowdown happening here for these battles, and I have a feeling I'm gonna end up dying. Let's have no. Okay, that's how we do it. Let's use that apple gel on yourself. Yeah, but so that's kind of the main issue that people have with the with the Game Boy Advance version, is the slowdown in battle. And I mean, this is before any magic animations or anything like that also. Okay. Alright. Leveled up. And yeah, I mean, I may or may not do an LP of this game at some point. Definitely not the Game Boy Advanced version though. Most likely the PlayStation version. Just a quick look here. With cooking, you can actually cook stuff this time around. Which is different than the Super Nintendo version that used the Tales of Destiny, which, well, Tales of Phantasia was first. But yeah, you've got titles that really don't do anything. They're just kind of there for fun. And that is just about it. I mean, just got Demon Fang. Actually, you know what? I'll show off a battle where I use Demon Fang then. Just to kind of give a better idea. Because once you get Clarth and Archie, oh my god, it becomes unbearable. So, I mean, it doesn't seem to be too bad, but I mean, you just saw the wolf, like, he's floating on the moon. I don't know what's going on with that. Oh shit. Oh god, I'm gonna die. Oh, you missed! Oh! And there goes Cless. Or Cress. Okay, I'm used to the other version. Alright, and in the Game Boy Advanced and the PlayStation versions, you just walk to the left or right of the screen if you want to run away. In the Super Nintendo version, you have to hold L or R. But we will get into the Super Nintendo version next, because that is the first of the Japanese versions to receive an English translation. So we're just kind of going in order here. So I'll see you over at the Super Nintendo version. Okay, now going over to the Super Nintendo version. Okay, you can already kind of see the graphical differences here. I cannot run whatsoever. The status menu looks a little bit different. I kind of like the way that this looks better than the Game Boy Advance and the PlayStation versions. You can see the sprites for Cless and Chester are different than in the other ones. They look... I don't really know how to describe it, more, I guess, like Traveler style. Like, they've got their cloaks and tunics and stuff. It's more, I guess, baggy, less cleaned up, whatever. We don't have any skills yet, and this is in the same part. Tristan's gonna end up interrupting us again. And with the fan translation, for this one, they aren't afraid to leave things truly uncensored. I don't want to really give anything away, but in a later part in the game, that's only just a little bit later actually, Chester actually calls somebody a fucker. And alright, so here's the battle, and yeah, you know, big difference in the sprite animations, but look how much faster it is. It's yeah, except come on. Yeah, if you want to be able to jump up and hit the enemies, you actually have to make sure that you're far enough away from them so that you can get a running start towards them, which in the Game Boy Advance version you could kind of just get up there. But yeah, look at that. I don't know, I think that's more, right? Just 48 gold from 3 owls? I don't know. Do a couple more battles so I can level up. But it's nowhere near as choppy. It just, oh my god, fucking hurt. Okay, and so obviously there's going to be some differences in the namings of skills and items and things like that. I mean, that's just something to expect no matter what you're playing, so I'm really not going to get into naming differences or anything like that. Oh, and I died again. But okay, let's see if it works this time. So if we just walk all the way to the left, it doesn't do anything. You have to actually hold L to run away from the left side of the screen, or R to run away from the right side of the screen. And I really wish I wouldn't have died. I mean, I wanted to show that off, but I don't know if I have a way to revive myself. Let's see here. Okay, he wants me to bring an apple to Chester's sister. Oh, I can't buy anything from you? Ah, shit. Well, that's probably going to ruin things a little bit. So, I'm going to figure out what I'm supposed to do, and I'll just meet you back here. Okay, so all I had to do was just go back to Cless's house and just take a rest, and that was it. So let's continue on here. Let's try and get some more grinding in. But yeah, one thing that people don't necessarily care too much for when it comes to this game is the random encounter rates, which I can vouch for that. Later on when you are trying to, well, you're going to be in like a wind valley type place, and 8 experience, 24 gold. Yeah, I remember the first time I played this, I thought that was Poison Bolt. And I was like, are you sure Cless is supposed to get that? That seems like a move that Chester would have instead. But I guess it's supposed to be like Scion Bolt, which is Demon Fang or Demon Wave, whatever the hell you want to call it. In the skills screen, this SR and this LR. LR means long range, SR means short range. So if you've got an enemy right next to you, that's when you can use these moves. And if you're a far enough distance away from the enemy, that's when you can use these moves, which you can use. It's either B or up and B, depending on where you have the skill set to. Let me just go ahead and... Okay, yeah, and I've got cream, cheese, and apple. So this is how... oh, there's not even a thing for it. Okay, well, you can see down at the bottom, there's food and 0. So what happens with that is you take any food that you have, you see that's in parentheses food, and you put it in your food sack. And now your food sack is 20, and we put the other one in, food sack is 40. And if we put the apple in, our food sack is 100 now. And that's kind of funny too. If you look up here, it's the fairy from Zelda, but that's neither here nor there. It's whatever. Okay, well, you see now the food count is 100, and Cless has 175 out of 204 HP. If we take one step, okay, another step. Does it not? Okay, well, now food's down by 20, Cless's HP is up by 20. So that's how food works in this game. You get food on the side, you put that in your food sack, and then as you walk around, your characters gain health. Which I kind of like better than the standard cooking method, because then you don't have to worry about getting a whole mix of ingredients and stuff. Now, okay. Alright, so we're ambushed, so we kill him, and see, look, now he's far enough away, so I'm able to use that move. Now that he's closer, I can't use it. But if we walk away a little bit, there it is. So, skills are a little bit different this time around. Let me actually get into the forest here. And, we'll see how battles work out. Hey, there goes a boar. Yeah, that's what we're after. Let's follow it. Because I remember, yeah, I was getting really pissed off playing this version. Because there was times where I would take, like, 5 steps. And then it's another battle already. And you'll notice, too, after every battle, there's no kind of victory screen, if you will. They don't do anything or whatever. Just if you can manage to mash your A button just to go through everything, the sequences will just end. So that can really help you out on time. And right now, actually, the random encounter rates don't seem all too frequent, but they really do speed up later on in the game. It gets really annoying sometimes, but then you kind of remember that you're racking up gold or gold like crazy, and it kind of takes away from that. Let's see here. The place, I don't exactly know what the hell to call it, because it's called different names. I'm just going to call it Sylph Valley. And for those of you who know what I'm talking about, awesome. But with the battles in there, I was reaching a point, not when I was fighting the harpies, but I was fighting like some undead people. I think they were called ghouls, and I was fighting like 4 or 5 at a time. Every battle gave me about 465 gold or something like that. Before I finished that dungeon, I had 25,000 gold. And playing the PlayStation version, I finished the dungeon, I had like 4,800. So I don't think that's but that's not just testament to the encounter rates being so much higher. My gold gain was so much higher in the Super Nintendo version than it was in the other ones. Every town that I went into, I could just buy out all of the stores pretty much and still have so much money left over. And so, I mean, I can understand then if they toned that down a little bit, because in a sense that is kind of game breaking. I mean, it's always fun to get to a new town and be able to just outfit your characters with all new equipment and things like that. But I mean, this time around, they're like the most expensive stuff in there I could buy absolutely no problem. But yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's also because of how fast it is, I don't know. But that's the Super Nintendo version for you guys, and I will meet you over then at the PlayStation version. Okay, now for the PlayStation version. We've got, let's see here, hold down the X button, you can run around, so you don't need the elven boots. The graphics are a lot more cleaned up. You know, they're like the Game Boy Advanced version, except much better. So, let's go ahead and look at the status screen. which is like the Game Boy Advance version, and our cooking and titles are just like that one also, where you can actually cook things instead of putting stuff into that food sack. We have the same titles. Everything is pretty much the same except the fighting is sped up a lot more, which is very nice. So in this version, there was a translation into English. The main characters at times will have voiceovers, but of course those would be in Japanese. But the text itself has all been translated into English perfectly fine. So, okay. Yep, that this is a new feature as well. You'll see also the world map itself looks a lot different. The towns themselves are actual 3D polygons now. You've got kind of a compass up at the top left because with L1 and R1 you can actually rotate the entire map around, which is pretty nice. Pretty neat feature. So let's go ahead and try to get into a battle here. And oh yeah, also for the PlayStation version only, I think Chester gets abilities. You'll see he has 12 TP. He doesn't have any abilities right now, but in the other ones he's at 0, and all he can do is just use brute force, and now he's got elemental attacks that he can use also. Okay. And get ourselves into battle. Try to take down these owls before they take me down. So you'll see, I mean, the sprites are like the Game Boy Advance version, but again, just a lot more cleaned up, and the fighting itself is completely smoothed out. It's fast-paced the way it's supposed to be and everything like that. Now, just to show off those dialogue parts, let's just hit select. And yeah, they're completely voice acted over, but obviously it's in Japanese. Usually there's about 2 or 3 different dialogue parts per story sequence that you're in. And so it's really cool that they included that. Let me just check one more. And that should do it. Then you can skip it. But that's really cool that they included something like that, because those little side conversations always kind of gave you really good insight as to the character's personality and things like that. Obviously, the story sequences also help too, but these help you kind of get to know the characters on a more personal level. So that's cool that the PlayStation version decided to add that in. Jeez, I'm getting close to dying again. Alright. And so we got that going. First, see if we can actually cook anything. We cannot. I'm just going to use an apple gummy here. And let's put this ability, and you can see no short range, long range, or anything like that. You just pop the ability in, and it will be assigned to X. So this is just X. That's up and X, down and X, left or right, and X. So demonic blade, or demon fang. Let's go ahead and pop that in, and I'll just show that off in one more battle. And whenever that battle wants to spring up, alright. And see, and it doesn't matter where you are, you can just use it however you want. So that's cool. So, yeah, that will pretty much sum up the main differences between the games. Now, in the PlayStation and the Game Boy Advanced version, there are some new side quests that don't exist in the Super Nintendo version. One of them involves a couple. That's a pretty lengthy chain side quest, but you get some very good equipment for a different character later on, which is really nice. Other than that, the dungeon layouts, I believe, are all completely the same. The locations for towns and everything like that is all the same. The world map isn't really changed up or anything like that. And so, yeah, that will pretty much sum up the differences between the Tales of Phantasia games. So if anybody has any other questions, you can go ahead, just leave those in the comments section, and I'll do my best to answer those for you. So as always, guys, I'm Amaranthine, and it's been a pleasure to serve you.